Hey, I'm Gory B Movie.
And I'm LOLZ.
And we're horror addicts. And today we're reviewing
The Fly.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Jinx again, you owe me a milkshake.
Welcome, boils and ghouls, to Shocktober Day 4. Today we're talking about the original Fly movie that came out in 1958. It's written by James Clavell, directed by Kurt Newman, and it's based on a short story by George Langalong that originally appeared in Playboy magazine.
And the person who stars is Vincent Price, who's basically one of the most famous actors of all time.
So does this horror classic still hold up?
Well, we don't give you the good, the bad, and the gory.
Spoilers? Oh, there will be. There will be. So the Fly starts off like a murder mystery. This guy is found squashed in a steel press, and then we find out that he was actually squashed by his wife. She's telling the story to his brother, played by Vincent Price, and the story she tells is a little weird.
Somebody drunk and on cocaine weird.
Yeah, it's all told via flashback. Her husband was a scientist
who was kind of stupid.
He created a machine that teleports matter from one cube to another cube, and he tests it on dishes and various other things before he finally decides to test it on himself.
Because that's the smartest thing in the world, kid.
So he tests it on himself, but he doesn't notice that a fly has gotten into the cubicle with him, and what happens is he comes out the other end with a giant fly head and a fly arm and wing, whereas the fly has his human head and a human arm. So he thinks he might be able to reverse the process, but he's first going to need the fly that was in the transporter with him, which should be easy enough to find because it's a fly with a white head. So he tells his wife and son to go and look for it. His son does catch it pretty early on in the movie, but his mom tells him to let it go. This is before she knew that they needed to find this fly, before she knew that her husband was in trouble. And there's a couple other close calls, but it ends pretty badly for the fly. He ends up in a web with a spider.
Then crushed by a stone.
Yep, he gets crushed by a rock going, "Help me!"
Well, we don't even know he dies or not. We never see the body.
One thing I have to say about this movie is Al Hedson, who plays the Fly, gave a great performance. He's very passionate and dedicated to the role. He played the Fly in all the scenes with the giant fly head and when he's got the blanket over his head. Yeah, he was very dedicated. What'd you think of Vincent Price?
He was awesome. I've seen his work in the past.
I love Vincent Price in this film. He's so sympathetic as a character. He's in love with the wife, Helene, but you know, he lost her to his brother. So he's living his life as a bachelor, and he's really trying to understand what happened here after his brother is murdered. And it's just very sad, but he gives a great performance.
Unlike most romances, it's not like in your face obvious.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty subtle part of the story. I'm not sure if Helene's even aware that he's in love with her, but it's pretty clear. What'd you like about it?
Well, one thing that we made up.
Oh, Godcat?
Godcat!
So in one of the early experiments, Andre, the man who becomes the Fly, he tests on the family cat, Dandelo. He puts it in the little cubicle to transport it to the other side, but it ends up just dispersing into molecules, like in thin air, but you can still hear the cat meowing. He has now become Godcat.
The greatest superhero of all time.
Another thing I liked about it was the music. The music is beautiful and tragic, and it can be scary in places, but it fits the movie perfectly. And I always grew up thinking this movie was in black and white. I think I watched it on a black and white TV when I was a kid. This movie was actually shot in color, and it does have beautiful color, which is kind of weird since parts 2 and 3 are in black and white, but what are you gonna do?
Cry about it.
Yeah, you could cry about it.
Do you want to cry about it?
No.
First thing that's kind of sad, Daffodil.
Dandelo.
who died.
Andre experiments on a lot of animals. He experiments on a guinea pig. He experiments on the family cat. The cat one turns out bad. The guinea pig is fine.
He doesn't even care.
He really doesn't seem to care. He only cares when he gets in trouble.
Jack, it'd be funny if he was so tragic. Well, there was a smile on his face.
It's like, you're dark, dude. You're way dark.
Oh, it's funny for us because God cat.
That's a little funny. I guess he's right.
Also, multiple other things, multiple things at once when in teleporter. There's champagne. There's a bucket. There's a corkscrew. So they're saying they fused into some kind of champagne corkscrew creature.
Yeah, and it came out perfectly fine. So there's some faulty logic there. Another thing is if Dandelo has dissipated into the atmosphere, then he doesn't have a mouth. So how can he meow? I just blew LOLZ's mind. Another thing I think is kind of weird. The movie is set in Montreal, Canada. So they're French-Canadian. They have very French names like Andre and Francois and Philippe.
Daffodil. Dandelo.
But nobody has a French accent or even a Canadian accent in this movie.
Hey, also, my other question is, who's bringing out the money for this house?
Well, I think, he's probably got like a grant or something that he's using for his research. But we find out at the beginning of the movie from Francois, Vincent Price's character, that originally Andre, the scientist, was working on a flat screen TV. Had he stuck with that idea and made the first flat screen TV, he would have been like a millionaire. He should have gone with that.
Oh yeah, this guy was husband of the year award for not even spending time with his children, even though he promised. Also, basically not caring about his wife at all, and basically just being by himself the whole entire day.
Yeah, he's pretty neglectful.
As we can see from dialogue with the wife. Great job, you won the worst husband of the year award. Please accept it with pride. It takes a lot of effort to be that bad a husband.
Aw, I think he's pretty nice to his wife. He's just a little science obsessed, but honestly, it's not much different than most guys I know with video games.
At least you can turn out the power.
Oh yeah, because that would go well. Another thing I'm not crazy about is the ending. It ends with Helene, Philippe, and Francois outside, and we get the moral lesson of the movie, and the music swells, and it's all, hunky-dory from here on out. It's a lot different than the short story where Helene kills herself at the end. So the short story is a lot darker. It doesn't have to be that dark, but the happy ending seemed a bit much. Maybe even keeping the happy ending, but adding some kind of note of horror in there would have been nice.
Like the fly, flying onto the sun or something?
Just a regular fly, just to kind of remind us of the terror of the movie. Something like that. What did you think was scary about this movie?
The fly man.
When he's in the web?
Yeah.
It's a part that people make fun of a lot. The help me, but even his voice creeps me out.
What do you mean in the face?
Yeah,
Weird.
he's like bald and he looks terrified.
The faces that you making on the toilet? the toy face plus the whiteness.
It's creepy though, so that part scares you. What about the part where they take off the towel on his head and we see the fly head?
No, that's scary.
I like how the fly head has these little mandible that moves. I like that.
It'd be cool to spit acid because this flies.
Yeah, they vomit acid. In the remake with Cronenberg, he does do that.
Instead, he just eats like a normal gentleman.
Some other gory parts in the movie. In the very beginning, we see blood dripping from this steel press where Andre was killed. It doesn't seem like much by today's standards, but by 1958 standards, that was pretty impressive. That's pretty gory.
That'd be hilarious to monetize compared to Jason, sadly people have. That was the most gory thing ever.
Yeah, now we see people actually being killed and stuff, but that was pretty gratuitous gore for when this movie came out. Also, if you're afraid of spiders, the spider, it's clearly fake, but it's huge. And of course, the man and the spider get crushed by a rock, so that's pretty grisly.
Or do they?
Okay, we don't see their smushed bodies, so LOLZ theorizes that maybe they're not dead, but they're dead.
Oh, really? Do you have any evidence?
Well, everyone's all happy at the end. He doesn't go, it's funny that we never found the body.
Yeah, but would it be cool though if we actually saw the white fly in somewhere on the bench?
I don't know, man.
Would it be cool and scary?
It would be a little scary. I don't know how much sense it would make because he was trapped in a web and he was all cocooned up.
Because he was on the more of the side area of the web and he aimed for the middle where the spider was.
So you think the guy just has really bad aim?
Yes, he does. It's like, I know, hit the fly. Oops, I hit the spider.
And of course, the movie tackles fear of technology, which again was a big thing in the late 50s, but I think it's still today when we have all our new developments and stuff, that fear that the technology, as we keep advancing, that we will not be as careful as maybe we should be. Like Vincent Price says in the movie, the search for the truth is the most important work in the whole world, but it's also the most dangerous. And yeah, this movie came out in 1958, so by today's standards, it is pretty tame, but I do think that it still holds up as a very scary movie. But yeah, if you want grisly gore, there's the Cronenberg remake.
So you see it?
I grew up with this movie. This was one of my first horror movies as a kid. I still love this film to this day, and I do think it holds up. Maybe not a lot of newer audiences are going to appreciate it like I did since I grew up with it, but I'm going to say own it. What about you, LOLZ?
Own it.
If you're introducing kids to horror, this is a great one. I introduced this movie to LOLZ last year when you were 12. It's scary, but not too scary. It's an enjoyable film. And the copy I would recommend you purchasing is the Blu-ray copy. The cover's in black and white, but this is a color movie. It was filmed in color, and this copy is in color. I would recommend this one over the box set that has all three of the original Fly movies in it, just because the color transfer and the audio quality on this edition is phenomenal. It's also got some great special features. There's a commentary on here with the guy who played the Fly and a film historian. There's a feature on here about Vincent Price. This is a good copy to get, and it's pretty inexpensive. So this is the one I would recommend from 20th Century Fox Studio Classics. So if you haven't seen this 1958 classic, I highly recommend that you just go out and buy yourself a copy. This is an amazing film and one that belongs in your collection. I think if you like the Cronenberg film, if you like horror science fiction films, if you like body horror, or you just love Vincent Price and you haven't seen this movie, then this is one that you should definitely pick up.
And you should buzz your friends about it. I want to hear from you. Yes, you, the audience. What do you think of this movie?
Are you going to see it? Have you seen it? Do you love it? Have you seen the remake? Have you seen the sequels? Let us know in the comments below.
Or do you hate it? Tell us.
And we will be back tomorrow for day 5 of Shocktober with Danny and LOLZ's review of the full moon family film Goobers. Ooh, with special guests Billy and Dead West from Screaming Soup.
Yay!
So be sure to check that out.
Goats. Thanks for watching.
Hey!